Now it's your senior year. You guys have a lot of pressure on you. Your arch rivals just won a state championship. Now, give me your goals as an individual and also as the team as a senior at Washington.
We always had the goal of winning a state championship. There wasn't added pressure when Ishikar Roosevelt won it. Actually, it helped us because we knew it could be done. And anything short of a perfect season, undefeated state championship would have been a disappointment to us. So it was just, the focus, it wasn't really anything individual. The focus was just winning a state championship.
Okay. Now, as one of the leaders on the team, as an individual, how did your season go? Because you told me in the last segment that as a junior, it was some games that you didn't even play.
Yeah.
And now as a senior, what gives
Well,
us
if you guys had graduated, which opened up a spot for somebody else. Now, when we went through tryouts, we knew that the guard situation was already taken care of. It was going to be Bailey and Adel. We knew that the center position was going to be occupied by Tim Stoddard, and we knew that Junior Bridgman would have one of the forward spots. So that last forward spot was going to be a battle between Howard Williams and myself. Howard Williams also played football, and in the last football game of the year, what they called the Brown Derby game against Ishikar Roosevelt, Howard broke his collarbone, which put him out of the running for that starting position. Actually, he missed the first few games of the season because his arm was still healing. So that obviously opened up a spot for me to be the fifth starter.
Wow, okay. Now you guys go on this great run, undefeated regular season. Now give us some feedback on your playoff run.
Well, what happened was, we went into and we had to play Chicago Roosevelt, and we knew that was going to be although we beat them up pretty badly in this regular season, we knew it was going to be a battle because of what had happened to us the previous year, and it was a battle actually. We had the benches cleared, there was a brawl, fans were on the court, police came in, and the amazing thing about it was. Not that there was a little disturbance, but because nobody got kicked out of the basketball game, which is, really, really good. So we ended up winning the sectional after we beat Chicago Roosevelt. I think we played Hobart for the championship game, and we beat them pretty easily. Then the big test was going into Gary Westside. We had a tough game in the afternoon against Clark, who had one of the best teams of the history of the school. And we beat them, but it wasn't easy. Some say we were looking ahead. I say Clark was good. We got to play Westside, and that was the second time in 2 weeks that we had to beat them on their own court, which was just a very, very difficult thing. I still say that was the state championship game right there. Westside was that good. And we ended up beating them by 3 points, I believe, or was it 5? I think we beat them by 3 one time and 5 the other time. I don't remember which one. Went into the semi-state, played a Michigan City team that featured a guy named Rick Whitlow. I held him to 36 the first time we played at Michigan City, and they also had a junior on the team named Albert Fleming. Albert Fleming went to University of Arizona, and still to this day, I believe he's the all-time leading scorer and rebounder in the school's history. And we had a tough game with them, and we beat them, and then we had Rossville. I believe, from my memory, we didn't play that well against Rossville. I don't think I played that well against Rossville, but that got us into the state finals where. We were able to play Floyd Central. They nicknamed themselves the Super Hicks, and there was a big question mark as to whether they would hold the ball against us and try to slow the game down. And their coach, who actually he just got inducted a week ago today into the Hall of Fame with myself, and I saw the guys from the game down. There was a tremendous reunion to be with those guys again, and the Super Hicks came out and they tried to run us into the ground. At the time, it was the highest scoring semifinal game, or maybe a state final game in history, 102 to 88. So we threw up a lot of points, and that set up the championship game against Elkhart. Most championship games at that time, I think, weren't played as well because the kids were tired. You had to play an afternoon game and then come back a couple hours later and play a night game, and it was very difficult at the time. But that's why it made the Indiana State tournament unique. If I don't mind add, something I wish they would have never destroyed. But we ended up playing them, and we beat them 70 to 60. One of our lowest scoring games, maybe our lowest scoring game of the year. But again, it was because of what the Super Hicks did to us in the afternoon and the fatigue factor. It was a bittersweet day. We're happy we won the championship, but it was just so sad thinking that the year was over. The year we looked for our whole lives had ended, and that team would never play again together.
Okay, I want to kind of backtrack to the semifinals game. And in that game against Floyd Central, you scored 40 points.
Yes.
Was you in a, as we say, a zone, or was you just in a flow of the game, or what happened?
The flow of the game, I had no idea. I had no idea until after the game how many points I had scored, and we were just so concerned with Floyd Central, and the fact that they played an up and down game meant there was more scoring opportunities. And really, what happened was it was my teammates. We had Tim and Ulysses were just dominating the boards, and we had Ruben and Darnell. So I guess what I'm trying to say is because Tim and Ulysses were such good rebounders, I didn't have to really battle as hard underneath the boards, and I was able to be that filling that lane with the two guards, and it made us the fast break. And then the guards knew that I could finish. They got me the ball at the right time, Ruben and Darnell. So it just all happened. I had no idea I had 40 points.
Gotcha. In your last four playoff games, you finished with 116 points, which is fourth best all time, State of Indiana. As you reflect now on your career, do you think about those moments right there?
Oh, absolutely. I can remember the day of the state tournament, eating breakfast, and a teammate of mine looking at the records that they posted in one of the Indianapolis papers that he was reading, and said, "Wouldn't it be something to be up there?" And I didn't even look. I just kind of laughed it off, like, yeah, I could never be up there, And then when I surpassed Oscar Robertson in the Sweet 16 scoring, and actually I think he had 39 points in the championship game. I had 40 in the afternoon, and I think we had flip-flopped it. And I actually felt like I didn't deserve to be in front of somebody that was an idol to me. I felt Oscar Robertson was the best basketball player the game had ever seen at that time, and I just didn't feel like it was right for me to be ahead of him in that book. In fact, I kind of used a correlation that I felt like I can imagine how Roger Maris felt when he surpassed Babe Ruth. I shouldn't have been there, but I look back and I say, wow, I was really something.
Gotcha. Now, as you mentioned, you won a state championship, and you said that you was upset because the season was over. You guys were undefeated, known as one of the best teams of all time in the state of Indiana. Now it's time for college. Give us a little feedback on your recruitment process.
We had no idea about recruiting my family. We had really no direction, and all of a sudden, I can remember my first scholarship offer was to West Point, and I almost took it because I didn't know if I'd get another offer. And then all of a sudden, everything went haywire, and I was getting letters daily. I was getting coaches calling me daily. They were taking my family out to dinner. They were, dining us the entire time, and just cutting down to the schools was really, really, really a problem. And I can remember even a smaller school coming in and talking to me, and I talked to everybody. I didn't want to disrespect anybody, and they kind of laughed at it and said, I know you're going to go to a bigger place than us, but they wanted to try. So I said, yeah, it's okay, So I ended up narrowing my choices and making my visits to UCLA, Notre Dame, North Carolina State, and Kansas. I did throw USC in there in the mix, but they were probably the fifth school. One of the reasons USC was involved because they were recruiting me both for baseball and basketball. I had great visits. I had nothing to compare it with, so it was just an amazing time in my life, and I didn't know what to do. And I actually wanted to probably go to Notre Dame because it was close to home. I went to a Catholic school, and Notre Dame was a Catholic institution. And when I went to my visit, Johnny D, the coach that was recruiting me, had resigned literally 5 minutes before I walked into the coach's office, and they obviously were trying to keep the job. And Coach Sullivan was the assistant coach at that time. And had he gotten the job, I would have still went to Notre Dame, but he didn't get the job, and Digger Phelps got the job, and Phelps didn't want me, so that was an option that I lost. So my second pick was UCLA, and that's how I ended up there.
Now, you being from Indiana, as you know, cold weather. Now you're going to UCLA. Nervous? Are you excited? Scared? Give us feedback on your first year there.
All of those above. It was everything you mentioned. I was scared. I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect. I went out there. I I never been out there before. I thought I was in Hawaii when I saw the palm trees. I didn't know where it was. The funny thing about it was, there's a lot of smog in Los Angeles. Well, they knew me as being a boy from Indiana. So when you think of Indiana, when you're in California, you think of cornfields. So not knowing that I was from the steel town, so they used to ask me, does the smog bother me? And I had to be there a whole year before I could identify a smoggy day and a clear day. So the homesickness was really, really rough. I didn't realize that it would be as bad as that. I think had I had to do over again, I would have chosen to go somewhere closer. But yeah, I had all those emotions. It was just, and then playing, being a part of that dynasty was just something in itself.